Hi guys, I'm back with another new video. It's time for me to do my Q&A 2000 subscriber celebration. So thank you to everyone who sent in questions on YouTube and on Twitter as well. I think I've got enough now to do a whole video. I've done a few Q&A videos before. I think the last one I did was for when I got 1000 subscribers, which is about a year ago now. So next year, if it takes a year to get to 3000, if I ever do get to 3000, then I'll do another one, of course. And it's really fun to do. I do talk a lot. I find that when you're talking about something that you really like, something that you're passionate about, then you can talk for a long time. So that's a good thing, I guess. So yeah, it could be a long video. But I'm really grateful for everyone who did give me questions. So I'm actually gonna start with the two that I got from Twitter, and one of them is from Greta Cute, who actually took part in the Maltese national final. I think it was either last year or the year before. So yeah, we've actually got Eurovision royalty here. I'm honoured. Thank you, Greta, for dropping your question. And Greta is from Wales, and the question is about Wales in Eurovision. So we're both from Wales. Always good to have a fellow Welshie in the Eurovision fandom, of course. So the question is, so I've got these in a notebook written down. Do you think Wales should participate as their own country at Eurovision? I think that's quite a complex subject matter, I think. So Wales have done junior Eurovision twice, 2 years in a row, but only those 2 years. We haven't gone back to it since then. I wish we would go back to it though. I'd like us to do it again. I enjoyed, even though we didn't do well, I think we came like last both times, I think, or close to last anyway. And I remember there was a national final on Welsh TV as well, and I did watch a little bit of that at the time. So yeah, it would be really nice to go back to junior Eurovision, but in terms of the actual contest, I think it's quite complicated to have Wales as their own nation at Eurovision, because then you've got Scotland, they will want to do their own thing as well. And yeah, it just overcomplicates everything. It's just too confusing, too complex, as good as it would be. Maybe it would be nice one day to send a song for the UK in Welsh, but I can't really imagine that happening either, to be honest. We have had Welsh contestants, Welsh representatives at Eurovision. We've had Lucy Jones, Bonnie Tyler, of course. I think Joe and Jake were Welsh as well, or one of them was. So it's nice. It's nice to have the representation somewhere. What we should do, really, I think, is because there's been a few Welsh people taking part, but not that many Scottish people. So maybe they need to sort of make sure that they're getting artists from all parts of the UK. So that's something we could do at the very least. But as for Wales actually taking part in the contest by themselves, I can't picture that happening. I'd be very surprised if that happens, as much as it would be brilliant if we did. But yeah, I can't see it happening, and I can understand why it wouldn't, because it's just too complicated. But to have a Welsh song represent the UK, I can't see that happening either, really, but I would love that. So yeah, I'd like that to happen, but I can't see it happening. So diolch yn fawr, thank you Greta for your question. Hope to see you try to represent Malta again in the future, maybe. Good luck if you do. So the other question is from Twitter as well, from Ula. Sorry if I can't pronounce your name. And it is, what is your all-time favourite Eurovision song? I've always thought that if I had to pick just one, I've got like a group of all-time favorites, but if I had to pick one and nothing else, it would have to be City by Måneskin. Uh, yeah, that is my favorite of all time, my favorite winner, especially of the modern era. You know, it was just such a special moment. Not much comes close to that. To me, Izzy is just perfection. Um, and every time I listen to it, like it still gives me goosebumps, you know, every time that intro kicks in. So yeah, if I had to pick an all-time favorite, it would have to be City of Bonnie. Okay, so now I'll move on to the comments that were left on YouTube on my community page. The first one is from Lucas from Germany, who I've met a few times in real life. This is a really good question. I like this question. It's travel related. So from the latest Eurovision related abroad trips, so Amsterdam, Copenhagen, Malmö, Stockholm, is there any city you want to go back to and visit again for a longer time? So Amsterdam was the pre-party last year, and then obviously Copenhagen and Malmö, that was Eurovision last year, and then Stockholm recently I went to for the Melodifestivalen final. So we're not counting Liverpool in that because it's just about trips in other countries. So yeah, all four really good trips that I've been on over the past 2 years. Hopefully, I'd like to have like at least one Eurovision related trip every single year. I think that would be my aim, even if it's not Eurovision in general, because I'm not going to Basel this year. So that's kind of why I went to Stockholm instead. So would I go back to any of them? Yeah, well, especially Stockholm. I would definitely go back there. Um, I did do quite a lot of exploring and touristy things anyway, but I think there's actually more that you could do because it does seem like quite a big city, quite a big place. And yeah, when I left and when I went home, I thought, yeah, I would definitely go back to Stockholm. I mean, well, if Sweden win, I'm not saying they will win, but you know, they are one of the favourites, and it's not out of the question, you know, they could win. And if Sweden host again, I think it will be in Stockholm this time. So yeah, I would probably go back to Stockholm for Eurovision. And I think they'd host it well, probably better than Malmö. So Malmö, you know, it wasn't bad. I'm glad that I visited Malmö and Copenhagen together, you know, having that experience of both Denmark and Sweden. You know, it was worth it. It was a really worthwhile trip. Um, and Malmö as a city, it was quite nice, I thought. It was very quiet, which is good, actually. I like that. But I just remember it was Monday, so the first day of Eurovision week. And I was just walking around the park, like the main park of Malmö, and there was hardly anyone around. I felt like a local, like it was just me and like a few other people walking their dogs, and yeah, it was just really quiet. Um, but in a way, that's good. Um, but the city itself, it was pleasant enough. Not sure if I need to go back, but in terms of the hosting part of things, I know a lot of people who went, they would say this as well. There wasn't really much of an atmosphere at all, really. So, in terms of the Eurovision hosting side of things, I don't think Malmo was the best for that, especially when you compare it to Liverpool. Liverpool was like 100 times bigger than that. So, yeah, it might not have been the best as like a host city. Um, but the actual city itself is quite nice, I think. It is worth a visit. Um, Copenhagen, I'm not sure if I go back again, really nice, good to tick it off the bucket list, I guess. But yeah, I'm not sure if I feel like I need to go back to Copenhagen as much as Stockholm. And then Amsterdam. Amsterdam is just a really nice place to visit in general. I've been there twice now, actually, and I would go back again. It's the kind of place I think that you could visit in different times of the year, like spring. I went in September the first time, and then I went last April. In April, the weather was amazing. It was warm, sunshine, really nice at that time of year. Or you could maybe go in Christmas time, the winter or the summer. So yeah, I would go back to Amsterdam again. Not Eurovision related necessarily, but just in general. So yeah, I think out of those, I do feel like I want to go back to Stockholm the most and see even more of it, do a few things that I didn't do before. And if Sweden win, it's in Stockholm, then I would be tempted to go again for that, definitely. So next one is from Sarah, who I know has been a follower of this channel for a long time now, so thank you, Sarah. Which entries do you think have the most potential to grow or surprise this year? So I think in terms of who could do better than people expect, right from the start, there's been two countries I think people might be underestimating a bit, and that's Ukraine and maybe Luxembourg. Because Ukraine, I feel like they could do better than what people think, because I know it's not like a typical Ukrainian entry, or it's not as popular as, or as much of a contender as other Ukrainian entries, but I still think it could do quite well. So that could surprise people. And Luxembourg, I could be wrong, but I feel like people are kind of underestimating that a bit as well, because I think there is an audience for Luxembourg, because I know it's quite traditional and old school classic, but I think people will like that. So Luxembourg could qualify and surprise people. I could be wrong. It might not qualify at all, but yeah, I just feel like Luxembourg could do better than what people are expecting it to. So the next one is from Adam, and I'm pretty sure it was Adam who left the comment on the Melfest reaction video about, oh, you should come to Melfest more often because every time you do, we sing Swedish. And that was funny, I like that comment. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the same person who did that comment. So the question is, who do you think will be the dongs of the year, the shock qualifier, and the musty of the year, the shock non-qualifier, and the Bambi Thug dark horse? So, I loved it when dongs qualified. That was like one of my highlights of last year. Nobody expected that. I think dongs was like literally the last in the odds to qualify. So that was a huge surprise, but a very pleasant surprise. So who could the equivalent of that be this year? It would be something like Montenegro or like Slovenia, but I don't know if that will happen. Shock qualifier. Maybe something like Croatia, because I can't picture that qualifying as it is, to be honest. But I can't remember which countries in which semi-final. I haven't completely memorized the lineup of both semi-finals. Yeah, I know some of them, but some of them I just can't remember which one they're in. So I probably need to think a little bit more about that. But shock non-qualifier, I can think of a few. So we've got Musty from Belgium as an example for last year. And I actually think that the same thing could happen to Belgium again this year. I do think I can picture in my head a complete repeat of last year for Belgium. I really can, where Musty was quite popular. It was high in people's rankings. This year, strobe lights, I've seen Belgium quite high in people's rankings as well. But it could be the exact same thing and it might not qualify. I mean, I never liked the song that much myself anyway. So maybe it's more like a personal opinion thing. But yeah, I honestly could see the same thing happening for Belgium yet again, where a song that is quite liked by the fandom doesn't qualify. So yeah, I can see that happening. To be honest, you know what I've been thinking? Maybe like Czechia might not qualify. Maybe that could be the musty of the year. And you've also got Greece. So I'm worried about Greece because the national final performance wasn't really strong enough. Hopefully, it will be better than that. But I can see Greece being a repeat of 2018. Maybe I can just visualize that. But then if it improves, it could be a pleasant surprise and it could qualify. But yeah, I'm concerned for Greece, but it might not be a shock non-qualifier though, because I never thought it definitely would anyway. So maybe it's not a shock. But something like, yeah, Czechia could be a shock. But yeah, this year is hard to predict. I'm gonna make my prediction videos soon, but I really need to think more about it. But going back to Latvia, so Latvia this year, it would be great if they could qualify again. But I'm not sure if it's strong enough. But then if Dons qualified and nobody expected that, then hopefully they can do it again. The dark horse, I would like to think that Switzerland will do well and be in the top 10 because I think it deserves to do well. But that's just what I would like. So it might not happen. Again, I'd like to think that Germany could be a dark horse, but I can see it doing really badly as well. I'd love for Denmark to be a dark horse. And, well, it needs to qualify first, so we need to start with it qualifying and get that out the way. And again, that might not happen either. So yeah, those are things I would like to be a dark horse, but might not necessarily be a dark horse. I mean, going back to Ukraine, I said that Ukraine could do better than expected, and Luxembourg actually. So yeah, maybe, Ukraine could be a potential for that. I actually think Norway could get top 10. There's something about it that I think I can just see it like sneaking into the top 10. And yeah, okay, yeah, let's go for Norway. Could be a dark horse in the final to do better than people expect it to. So we actually kind of touched on that with another question about the, what was the question? Ah, yeah, from Sarah, like what entries do you think have potential to grow? So it's kind of similar to that where I said about Ukraine and Luxembourg surprising people. So yeah, that's all I can think of really, but I don't think there's like a major dark horse that I can think of. Like Bambi Thug is a good example for last year, but I can't work out yet what the equivalent to that could be. Maybe when we get an idea of, stagings and rehearsals, then there could be a dark horse that emerges more clearly. But for now, I'm not really sure. But I just thought of Albania because Albania is extremely popular with the fans. It's actually like a favourite to, well, some people think it could win. I don't think it can, but I hope it does really well, and I think it is one of the best entries ever. And I hope it does get one of the best results, potentially top 10. So I think we would like Albania to be a dark horse, but what if it doesn't do as well as we think it does? But yeah, I think people are hoping for Albania to be a dark horse. Doesn't mean that it will, but hopefully it will. It's looking positive so far for Albania, I think. There is another question in here, a separate question. Which country do you think is in most need for a revamp in how they select their song? So, internal or national final. Are there any countries you'd like to see go for a national final instead of internal and the other way round? Haven't really thought about that much, really. I mean, I think that we need to cut down on national finals in general because there's so many of them, and some of them go on for so long, unnecessarily long. Countries like Lithuania, I'm not going to watch all those semi-finals, like 5 semi-finals and then a final. I just can't be bothered, especially if the quality is just not good enough every week. I definitely think some national finals can be cut down. But in terms of what countries should change, I don't know. I mean, I hear rumours recently that France are thinking of doing a national final next year, going back to a national final. And I remember when they did have a national final, I watched it and I always quite enjoyed the French national final. So maybe I wouldn't mind if they go back to that. But we definitely don't need more national finals than we already do. We've already got way too much. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. Really. Just don't give us any more. We've got enough. Something I will say actually, Ireland. So Ireland use the Late Late Show for their national final, and I don't know if they've got plans to expand it and make it like a proper national final rather than just this Late Late Show. But I think they should change it and, like you say, revamp it and make it bigger, move it away from the whole TV studio Late Late Show format and just make it bigger. I think that Ireland should be doing that. So I think they were thinking of doing that and then they changed their mind in the end and just went back to the Late Late Show again. So hopefully they will change that. But yeah, that is something that I can think of to answer the question. I think Ireland could revamp their national final. So to finish off the Q&A, I've got a nice group of questions from one of my favourite fellow YouTubers, Reese Chambers. A lot of people who watch my videos might watch Reese's videos as well. And he's actually recently reached 1,000 subscribers, finally. So yeah, go and check out Reese's channel if you haven't already. But yeah, we've got a nice little group of questions here. So first one is, do you feel there's an overrated or underrated entry this year? It's all down to personal opinion, really. I do think there's a bit of a difference between something that's overrated and something being overestimated. Or maybe it is kind of the same thing. But yeah, overestimated in terms of people expecting it to do well, but might not. So I've got a few ideas for that kind of thing. Again, going back to Belgium, I find Belgium overrated personally, and I think it might not qualify. Like this could go completely wrong. Um, I never really liked the song anyway. So yeah, I find I'm going to say Denmark. Then I don't find Denmark overrated. I love Denmark. Belgium, I do find overrated. Finland, I've kind of changed my mind a little bit. You know that I didn't like it at the start. It's grown on me over time. You know, I quite like it now. I like it better than I used to. I do still think that that might be a bit overestimated as well. I don't really see Finland as a contender, but I know that some people do. Um, I can. It's very hard to predict how well it will do. Actually, I can picture it coming anywhere between like 7th place and 20th place. Honestly, I got no idea. Um, so even though it's grown on me a bit, I'm still not really on board with the hype. So yeah, I'd say maybe yeah, Finland, Belgium. Other than that, I think most things make sense. I can't think of really that many underrated songs. I mean, for me, it would probably be Denmark, although I have seen quite a bit of love for Denmark this year, actually, which is good. But I'm sure Denmark will be underrated with the actual results. Unfortunately, I think Germany could be underrated as well. And again, I've seen a lot of love for Germany this year with the fans, which is good. People are enjoying it, but I can see it being underrated, you know, in the final with the actual jury and probably televote results. I did mention Ukraine earlier as well. Um, Something that a lot of people are enjoying that I have kind of forgotten about really is the Netherlands. Unfortunately, I just kind of this one has slipped under the radar a bit for me. I end up just forgetting about C'est la vie. Um, but some people rate it really highly and think it could do really well in the final. Maybe it could do really well in the final. I don't know, it would be nice if it did, but the song for me, compared to a lot of the others, is just kind of gone under the radar for me, and I've just kind of forgotten about the Netherlands. So, yeah, that could be a bit of a controversial opinion, maybe. But maybe, yeah, that's something that I'm not really enjoying as much as some other people, unfortunately. I'll have to go back and listen to it again, but yeah, I'm just sort of haven't paid much attention to the Netherlands, really. Which national finals do you hope to watch more of or follow more closely in the future? Well, I said earlier that I don't really want any more national finals, there's too many. So probably not more than I already watch anyway. Um, what I will say though is with Melody Festival, and not just for me, but in general, I do wonder if there'll be even more of an interest in Melfest now that Kai have won, now that it's changed a little bit and it was a good, strong final this year. I wonder if there could be more of an interest this year from people who don't usually watch it or don't usually enjoy it. So yeah, I could see a bit of a change, a bit of a growth. I mean, it's a big event anyway, but it could be even bigger maybe now that it's sort of had a different kind of outcome. Um, I mean, I've watched Melfest for a few years, but yeah, I will definitely watch more, continue to watch more of it. But other national finals, I can't really think of any that I would want to follow more closely. I mean, I follow closely the ones that I want to, that I have done for the past few years, and I dip in and out of some of them. Some of them, like I said, are too long and I've got too many semi-finals and I don't really keep track of them. Um, but yeah, I think the ones that I want to follow, I already do and probably will just carry on as normal. Speaking of Melfest, we have got a Melfest question coming up now. Is a UK version of Melfest possible within the next decade? No, probably not. Um, I can't imagine that happening in the UK. Melfest is such a huge musical, cultural television event in Sweden. Probably one of the biggest TV shows, I imagine. I I actually said to my friend, one of my friends who I was at Melfest with, I said to her, the the popularity of Melfest now in Sweden actually reminds me a little bit of what the X Factor was like in the UK a decade ago, more than a decade ago, in like the 2009, 2010 sort of era. The X Factor was so big in the UK back then. I think that's the equivalent to Melfest now. Um, yeah, I just thought that just popped into my head. I remember thinking that when I was at Melfest. Um, but yeah, I can't imagine that happening. You could argue that we don't care enough, maybe. Um, and whenever we did have a national final, the last national final the UK had was about 5 years ago, I think, 2019, I think it was. Whenever we did have one, the music wasn't great, the quality wasn't great. Um, I think going internal does make sense. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's possible. Maybe it is, but I can't really imagine that happening. Um, Maybe if we continue to get good results after Sam Ryder, maybe they would have considered it. But yeah, I can't see that happening. Do you think the winner this year will win the jury and or the public vote? So be the winner of one of them or both of them? Good question. I have been thinking about this. I bet, well, we all have. Um, and my current thought, my current prediction, or what I'm feeling right now, logically, is that France will win. If you had to ask me, what is your prediction right now of what will happen and who will win, I think France could win by not winning either the televote or the jury vote, but having enough overall to win. And I think, I could be wrong, if I'm wrong, correct me on this, but I think that the last time that happened was with Duncan Lawrence in 2019. I don't think he won either the jury or public vote. I don't think Netta did either the year before. Um, but it wasn't enough to win overall. So I think it could be a situation like that with France, unless Austria win by winning the jury vote or Sweden win by winning the public vote. But I don't think there'll be a winner of both. I mean, you don't usually get a winner of both anyway, do you? I don't think that's happened recently you either win by winning the televote or the public vote, but not both. I can't remember that happening recently. Apart from, did Portugal in 2017, did that happen with them? Did they win in both? I'm not sure, but yeah, it's over the past 2 years in a row, it's been the jury winner has won overall. So yeah, I can see either that happening again with the winner being a jury winner for the third year in a row, or somebody like France not winning either, but still winning overall. That's how I feel at the moment anyway. But you know, it's a good question though. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. You know, what do you think the same as me, or do you think actually Sweden could win by winning the televote by a huge margin? Let me know your thoughts, and I'm going to do a whole video about that at some point. I think for the past 2 years or so, I've done a Who Will Win Eurovision this year video talking about potential winners, and I'll do that again this year and probably repeat what I've just said. I mean, I still think that France could win the jury and have enough in televote to win overall. I mean, I do think that France could win, but I should probably leave that anyway for another video before I get too deep into that. But yeah, I mean, it's a good question, of course. But yeah, I'll make another separate video about that. But leave your comments and let me know what you think. Favorite Swiss Eurovision entries. Of course, we're in Switzerland. It's the host country this year. And Switzerland, I think, have been on a really nice uphill journey over the past 5 years. After Luca Hänni, I think, 2019 with Luca Hänni, that was like their breakthrough moment, and things started like climbing up for them, which led to the win last year eventually. So, I mean, obviously you've got The Code, would definitely be one of my favourite Swiss entries. Répondez-moi by John's Tears, 2020. That was one of my favourites of that year. And I preferred that song to L'Univers, actually. I like that as well, but Répondez-moi, that was my favourite of the two John's Tears entries, and it was my winner at the time at 2020. And yeah, Luca Hänni was good as well. One of my favourites actually is 2014, Hunter of Stars. I don't know if that's maybe a bit of a weird choice. Maybe it's a bit underrated. People might have forgotten about it a bit. But I really like that. That's really fun. I've always liked that, and I think I sort of regained appreciation for it recently when I went back and watched old contests in COVID, and I found that again, and I remembered how much I liked it. So yeah, 2014 I like, but then from like the early 2000s, 90s, I can't really think of that many Swiss entries, apart from, of course, Celine Dion. But yeah, there's been a few good ones over the years. And this year, Zoe May, Voyage, absolutely love it. It's one of my favourites of the whole year. For a host country entry, I think it's brilliant. And I would probably add that to my list of favourite Swiss entries as well. Okay, so the final question. Do you believe that juries should return to vote in the semi-finals? So this is I think this is the third year now that we haven't had juries. Or is it only the second year, actually? Was it 2023 that it started, where they took juries away from the semi-finals? Well, I think it was last year, actually, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was last year and not 2023. So it's still quite a new thing. I don't even know if it's a permanent thing. Has that been officially confirmed that this is like a permanent part of the format of the contest, that they're never going to bring back the juries. I don't know. Maybe they will. But I think it wouldn't be a bad thing if they bring them back in the semi-finals. Because you could argue, and people have argued, that it doesn't benefit some countries. It's like a barrier for some smaller countries who wouldn't get televote support. It could make it harder for them. I think one of the initial concerns with that was the idea of songs like ballads not being rewarded because they're not televote friendly songs. People might find it boring and not vote for it. But then Latvia last year qualified, and we didn't think it would, but it just shows that the public appreciate ballads as well. So that hasn't really been a problem so far, really. But then you do get a lot of songs that are catered for the televote now, in the semi-finals, because they want to qualify and get to the final. So could some people argue that there's too many televote friendly songs now to get out of those semi-finals? Yeah, there's been a few concerns about that I've heard from people. So bringing back the juries, I don't think would be a problem. It wouldn't be a bad thing at all. So I don't mind really having got like a strong opinion on it, but I would not be opposed to having them back in the semi-finals. So I probably didn't really answer some of the questions very well. I just sort of waffled on and just kept talking all over the place like I always do. But thank you for the questions, and I hope you found the little discussions that we had interesting. And yeah, feel free to leave your comments or thoughts on anything that we talked about. Yeah, I always really love doing these Q&A videos. It's just so much fun to just talk about different things. Even if you send me the same questions every year, like, I don't mind. There's always something new to talk about. So thank you very much to everyone who sent me a comment or a question. Very much appreciated as always. I'm sure I'll do another one of these videos maybe next year. Or yeah, if I get 3,000 subscribers, I'll do another one to celebrate that. That would be great. So I will carry on making other normal routine videos now. It's April, so we can start talking about semi-finals and predicting qualifiers. I can tell you my top 10 soon when I confirm what the top 10 definitely is. It changes all the time. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about and, a lot to look forward to. So there will be more videos from me. So thank you for watching and contributing in any way. Oh, and of course, I forgot to say, thank you again for helping me to reach 2,000 subscribers. It's still really nice to just see how it's growing slowly but surely. I don't really care about numbers. I don't count the subscribers every day and how much the number goes up. I don't really care about views. Some videos don't get a lot of views, but I don't really mind, because as long as you've got people who are enjoying the videos, who are interested, engaged, and sharing their opinions, that's the most important thing, really. So yeah, I've always got that, and I'm always really appreciative of that. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you very soon. Bye.